Hello there fam, and welcome to Dad Mode Game Time, where we usually talk about video games that can give our young gamers a skill, a life lesson, or a role model. But today I wanted to talk to you guys about video game monetization. Specifically today we're going to talk about loot boxes and gachapon mechanics. Come on, let's go talk about this. Video game monetization refers to the way that video games make money. Typically, a video game or any product would generate money by having you buy it up front. Most video games are somewhere between $40 to $70, and you buy other things at the store for $5, $6, $20, and that's how the company makes its money. But when it comes to games that are free to play, the game developers have other ways to get that money out of you. Free to play means that it doesn't cost anything to download and it doesn't cost anything to get started, but it doesn't mean they're not going to try to get money out of you any way they can. So, let's take a look at a video game that is free to play but has every single form of monetization that we're going to be talking about during this series. Genshin Impact. And for the record, I'm not recommending this video game to you guys. I'm just using it as an example of these three things so you can understand what they look like and how they work. But today the focus is on loot boxes and gachapon mechanics, so let's start there. Loot boxes and gachapon mechanics refers to the random acquisition of game elements. It might be characters, it might be equipment, or it might be costumes, which are commonly called skins. They are called loot boxes because they are often presented in the form of a box, like a present or a package. And the gamer can activate these items and get usually between, I've seen 8 to 10 randomly selected elements from the game at a certain rate of probability. The okay stuff shows up more often, but the really, really, really good stuff has a much smaller chance of appearing. And this is one of the ways that they create a desire for these boxes. Gachapon mechanics are similar. Gachapon refers to those little machines that you might sometimes see in a restaurant lobby or at the grocery store, where you put in a couple of quarters, you turn the crank, and a little pod comes out and you get a random item. Very similar thing to loot boxes, but they're often presented in a different way. For our example video game today, Genshin Impact, these things are represented by a large image, which is commonly referred to as a banner. So, let's see the banners that we're looking at today. Oftentimes, gachapon banners demonstrate the more desirable elements of the game by featuring 2 or 3 of those elements prominently on an image. In Genshin Impact, you will see rare and powerful characters on the banner, and this is common for games that let you acquire new characters through this mechanic. You might also see rare and powerful weapons, but they're on the screen in a flashy way. They might come with a certain number of stars, or the more stars the better, or they might have a letter grade attached to them, C rank, B rank, A rank, and S rank. Often, new players are enticed to begin using these mechanics by being offered a certain number of tokens up front, or just by being allowed to activate this mechanic one time for free or for a discounted rate. And usually they are guaranteed a character that, at least on the surface, appears strong. Will have like several stars, or it'll have like a a high letter grade, and it'll say that this character is guaranteed. Activate this for a discount or for free, and you automatically get a really strong character. And this is really meant to prime the pump. And even though they never say that in the future a character will be guaranteed, only that a character will be featured at a higher probability, this also helps to set up a false expectation that every single time you activate the gacha or the loot box, you're going to get something incredibly powerful, which is honestly just not the case. Okay, so real quick, let's take a look at how this thing actually works. So, I'm going to do one pull on the beginner's wish, and then we're going to do one pull on the standard wish, which is called the Wanderlust Invocation. So, we can see, you press the button, ooh, how pretty. There's all the little pieces and colors that represent the stuff, and then we see what we got. Mostly these are weapons, so we don't know. The stars indicate their rarity, which, you know, like they have better numbers to help fight bad guys better. And then we see we have unlocked a character. Alright. We got that one, and there's our guaranteed Noelle. Super cool. And we continue with our weapons. We have our two characters, and we get a little something extra. Now, let's see this one. This shows that we have a higher chance to get one of three characters, Mona, Kaching, or Chi-Chi. Let's see what happens on this one. And once again, we see the little pieces. They represent the weapons and other things. So we got a sword again, a bow, a book, a spear. So there's our purple one that we saw in the cutscene. Another one. And more weapons. And more weapons. And more weapons. And more weapons. And we didn't even get that character. So as you can see, while these things might look pretty cool, we didn't get the things on the picture, and that can be a pretty big setup for disappointment for some young gamers, especially if they saw a character on that picture that they really, really wanted. So that's what makes this stuff, you know, kind of predatory. Actually, really predatory. I wanted you guys to see that because that's what it looks like in action. Loot boxes, gacha tokens, or currency to purchase gacha tokens can often be earned through playing the game, which some people call grinding. Game developers encourage their people that play their game to grind it out by placing a timer on the gacha banners or sometimes a limited edition loot box. Players want to log in and play as much as they can to earn as much currency as they can because there's only a certain number of days left, and if you don't get the character you wanted before the timer is up, then you missed out. And isn't that a shame? And everyone else is playing with this character and you're not. It can create problems. Loot boxes and gacha tokens can also be purchased for real money, which are often called microtransactions. However, microtransactions are more than just purchasing loot boxes and gacha tokens, which is why I want to make it its own video. We'll catch that one the next time. But in a nutshell, that's loot boxes and gacha mechanics. It's an enticing way to give your young gamer an opportunity at unlocking characters or weapons or items. I will never recommend a game that has loot boxes or gacha mechanics. Sometimes, though, people will review a game. That game will not have these kinds of mechanics in it, And then a couple weeks later, the game developers will add those to the game after the reviews are out. So if I recommend a game that does not have these mechanics, but then these mechanics get patched in later, I'll do my best to do an update video or take the old one down and replace it with a new one, just so that you guys can know where these mechanics are, whether they exist in a game or if they've been added in an update. But this kind of stuff can be stressful or harmful to a young gamer if they are not interested in playing the game to earn these boxes or tokens. Sometimes they will be able to purchase the boxes or tokens directly with actual money. These are commonly called microtransactions, but microtransactions are more than just loot boxes and gacha tokens, which is why we're going to discuss them in depth in the next video. So that's that for this time, guys. If you are interested in more of this kind of content, there are articles about it. There's studies done that show that loot boxes and gacha mechanics create in people's minds the same effects that gambling does, which is one of the reasons why I'm not ever going to recommend this kind of game that has these elements. So that's my promise. I'll do my best to stick to it. Hopefully, none of the games that I recommend will include these elements in the future, but if they do, I'll let you know. So, enough of that for today, fam. I hope that whatever it is you're doing, whatever games you're playing, I hope you're having fun, and I'll see you next game time.